many of you have ever needed motivation to do simple things in your daily life? Maybe motivation to go to work. Maybe motivation to go to the gym. Or maybe motivation to simply study. Okay, so today I'm going to be here to talk about this. But before this, the beautiful Miss Priyanka in the first row, today you will be my challenge. And by the end of my talk, I promise that I'll convince you and everyone else here in this room that motivation is a myth. This is motivation. Empty. Now imagine if motivation disappeared from the world tomorrow, just like it disappeared from this jar here. No sudden bursts of excitement, no inspiration, confidence, or hope. Would humanity stop achieving great things? I don't think so. In fact, I think that millions of people would continue to build businesses, write books, train for marathons, and change the world. Because I think that motivation is a myth. Ever since we were little, we were taught a simple formula about motivation. Feel motivated, then take action. It feels true. It even sounds logical. But if that were true, then why do so many people with big ideas and big dreams never begin? Why do gym memberships peak every January and silently disappear by February? Why do books go unwritten? Business ideas stay inside notebooks. And we keep waiting for the right time? Think about the last time you postponed something important. You probably didn't say, I don't want this, it's not for me. You said, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll start on Monday. I'll start when life gets a little less busier. When I feel inspired. When I'm more confident. But here's the thing that we don't realize. Motivation never comes before action. Maybe the problem is that people don't lose motivation at all. Maybe it was never supposed to lead in the first place. Maybe as individuals, we've mistaken the effect for the cause. And that's where it goes wrong. Think about this. When an individual or a child is learning to go on a bike, they fall, they get up again, they wobble, but then they fall again. But every time, the brain collects something. And that's evidence. Psychologists say that studies show that motivation never comes before action. It comes after this. Now picture this. Every paper ball here tells you something about us. Our brain is constantly looking for one answer, and that is, who am I? And on the contradictory side to what we think, it doesn't answer it with our dreams or our aspirations or what we want to become. It answers it with something very simple. Evidence. Every action turns into evidence. Every evidence turns into identity. And identity, it is a small difference between what we seem and think is possible and what is impossible. Now let me take you back to the image of the child on a bicycle who wobbles and falls. Confidence is never invited first, is it? We don't roll out the red carpet. Don't wait for it to arrive. After the child falls, the brain stores something, another piece of evidence. Sometimes he'll say, oh, I stayed on longer for 3 seconds this time. Maybe I can do this. Maybe it's not that hard. And the lesson here is not that it was a bicycle that motivated the child, it was that he could learn hard things. And that is what motivation comes around. Motivation is never supposed to be the circular force or identity around which we base our actions. From a very young age, we have the prejudice that motivation always comes before action. Let me give you another analogy to say. When you make one difficult phone call, the next one will seem less frightening. When you go to the gym for one workout, suddenly the next will be a whole lot easier. When you write one paragraph, the next doesn't feel impossible anymore. Why? Because the brain stores another piece of evidence that you can do this. Every paper ball here in my hand symbolizes evidence. But evidence alone is not simply evidence. It is your identity, a promise you made to yourself, a promise you made as a whole. Sometimes we ask ourselves the wrong question. Instead of asking ourselves, how do I find motivation? Ask yourself, today, tomorrow, or whenever you need motivation, what is the one thing that I can do that changes my evidence? Maybe it can be by reading one book. Maybe it can be by going for a walk, doing a puzzle, writing one difficult paragraph, making a phone call that you were slightly frightened to do at the beginning, reading a newspaper, trying a new food, doing something creative, something that's hard for you. And slowly enough, this jar fills up with paper balls. Because every paper ball is a promise you kept. Every promise turned into evidence. And every evidence turned into the person you became. And one day, the world looked at it and said, this is confidence. So now, I am sure that Miss Priyanka and everybody in this room is convinced that motivation before action is a myth. Because circularity does not happen around motivation. It's always action before. Thank you.